Here we are, turn 13 on Landskrona. Let me think what happened. Continued attack over here on the Danish left flank. They pulled back in terms of orders to receive charge, but they advanced at some salvo fire and knocked a unit away. I mean, they're gaining ground. It's just what's happening there is not absolutely clear whether or not the Swedes can get out of there. Over here, we saw, actually, this and this, that militia charging forward and hitting a regular formed unit. And, well, they ended up meleeing, and it wasn't bad. It was like a 0 table, but they rolled very poorly, or maybe +1, I don't know. But they rolled very poorly and got set flying, which is only apropos. Alright, I gotta check, see if I can get a continuation there, and I cannot. So this guy goes to sleep. Alright, let's see, under 13 turns, we're at 14 turns. Not much changed. See a little bit of shifting along lines here, but largely there isn't any major engagement happening. There was a couple of places where it might have been interesting. So for example, this limbered gun, the Swedes could have just taken that if they changed into charge formation, but they can't take it without doing that. And how much risk would there be to their entire formation if they came charging in and met the Danes at this point? They really need to recuperate. The gun, letting that get away doesn't seem like a bad choice. Speaking of guns, we got some big ones set up here to start dealing with the Danish right wing. The Danish right wing's kind of trying to slip away from them very slowly. It's still under rally. It doesn't really need to be under rally. This guy is not in great shape. I should actually, they were the last thing to go. I should actually see if I can take that to make ready. Because they didn't actually, they didn't actually convert or make any rolls. So that seems reasonable. And maybe they can get a continuation and make ready. Oh, okay. So this is where we are anyway, just different formation there. It's getting close to the end, and I don't think the Swedes have the kind of points that they need to win the game. I think they're going to have to ratchet things up a notch. They only have 4 more turns here. They really kind of took their time about getting anywhere. Of course, the Danes starting out charging and then turning around and coming back, that definitely set the tone for the game, I think. Alright. Well, we're seeing the Swedes just sort of marching right into the Danes. And, using advancing fire. And if they get a hit, those Danish units are so weak, especially in terms of morale, they just turn and run, or just fall to the melee attacks. It's definitely, their troops are not well able to withstand this attack. I'm wondering, Alright. Well, the Swedes saw an offer too good to be refused as it was. Not just the artillery, but the rear end of an infantry unit. So they went to charge mode. And they slammed into here. And overall on this side, did pretty well. See a couple of more Swedish cav that left the map chasing those Danes. Those numbers are beginning to look a little better after this turn. We also saw some infantry attacks. Well, some was cav, some was infantry here. It's a cav attack here which slammed in and destroyed the Danish unit, but it ran off the map, which is kind of a good result actually for the Swedes. That unit was kind of off and out of where it was easily controlled, and I'm perfectly happy seeing that one run off where it's safe. So the Swedes started this the 14th turn with all three wings in charge formation. Now they pulled out with the center and left wing to try to reform, move forward a little more slowly, more carefully. However, the right wing, they tried, but could not get out of charge. And it wasn't a terribly bad thing. They smashed into some infantry back here. They're threatening this cannon. One thing that happened, though, was a poor horse marched into that space and just disintegrated. Losses. We've got a pretty big pile of Danes. The real problem that I see is most of the Danes are infantry. Almost, I think all of the Swedes are cavalry. Infantry is only half as valuable as cavalry. So the Swedes still have some heavy work to do, and the hardest to kill, the best unit, well, maybe not the best, some of them are not terribly high morale, but still, the Danish cav is definitely better than the infantry, and it's going to be tougher to wipe out. End of 14, 3 p.m. We have, wow, what a neat and organized looking Danish line there is. The only break in it, actually, is one of those Swedish infantry went on to capture the other cannon that was there. It was trying to limber and get out of the way. And a Danish cav went over and eliminated him for that. Comes out a wash as far as I'm concerned. But all right, well, it doesn't look like they're, you know, the Swedes look a little sparse at this point. They look a little weak. I know there's kind of this clump here, and that's nice and all, but this whole section looks like it's just gone. On the other hand, the Danes are quite stretched out to maintain this line. We've got a decent amount of losses, like most of the counters, I think. So the fact that the battle took so long to get started, it certainly heated up once it did. I don't know which way this one's falling. The Danes have taken more casualties, the Swedes more dear ones, and I can't see the Swedes pulling a victory out at this point, but we got 3 more turns. This 15th turn started a little odd, with the Danish center jumping into charge mode in order to take advantage of the Swedish right trying to rally. From that, then, we had the Swedish center, which is nearly at the edge of the map at this point, unable to get into charge, and just moving forward and kind of preparing a little better. Okay, that's the end of 15, and not much has changed. Couldn't get a reasonable charge here. I moved up to make ready, but couldn't get a continuation. I kind of want to sweep down this way with the Danes. This is really troublesome, just this mingling of wings, the center and the left are in this kind of traffic jam, largely created because of the edge of the board. That's a problem that happens a lot in tactical games. There's no real solution for it that I know of. Unfortunately, this game, you know, a very different battle happened in reality. Not this one, but one more across the line. But you know, that kind of thing happens. Well, the continued attack of the Danish center went very, very poorly. They couldn't get out of charge. Some of their calves smashed into here, and it's gone. Other units attacked over here, and they did a little bit better. We have here is a cav that came out of that cav attack against the Swedish center. We got a hedgehog that resulted from that. But overall, the Danish center looks like it's collapsing. Of course, there is no Swedish right anymore, basically. I mean, it's a disorganized mess. The center and the left have become one mass. So I don't know. And now the Swedish center is making it clear, yet another continuation, that the Danish center is hosed. They managed to get into charge formation, charge orders. They've gotten one continuation, they just got another one. They're going to keep going. The unit in Hedgehog, just a little bit of fire and it's gone. However, the danger, the Swedes had to keep advancing. They continued to go in charge. Went and took out some guns, did some other cool stuff. But these guys had to keep advancing towards the Cav. The Cav had been giving them a lot of ground. A flank was exposed, and Goltz decided to charge it. The charge was a success. There was a pursuit. The pursuit got and eliminated Swedish infantry in exchange for a formation break. A good trade for the Danes. The numbers. That's a lot of Danish troops there now. It's getting uglier for them. And here we enter the 17th turn. I got a leader to place for the Danes. Well, as usual, once the battle really gets engaged, things turn into a bit of a mess. We got the Danish right wing up here under charge orders, and it started smashing, or sorry, the Danish left started smashing into the Swedish right. The Danish right, well, after that, he's got to reform that unit, and now he's got his other units actually had to move to try to keep into command. Otherwise, bad things could happen. I don't know if there is a Danish center. There's a couple units just kicking around here somewhere, but it's lost all effectiveness. Losses. We've seen them before. Well, one more turn and then we get to count. And we got those farm hands still running home. The Swedish center had an attack go very, very wrong. These couple of units smashed into Christians' infantry. They had, I think, +2. I just got routed, both of them. They managed to slip into a rally and try to fix that, but wow, you know. What's left going on here? The Danish center dropped into rally as well and pulled away. I think that means we go back to the Danes, we go to Goltz's command. So the Danes had a unit in charge, and I don't know why everything else is gone. I think I forgot about them. Anyway, they're charging now. I mean, I know this guy was charging, but I forgot about this guy. Anyway, he couldn't get out of charge. He wanted out of it. He wanted to pull back like the rest of the Danish line has and, you know, say, hey, the battle's over, man. All that's left for the Swedes is this unit rallying, but we've got these attacks to take care of. Well, that charge lasted one round, and it didn't go well at all. We had a unit shaken in morale. We have another one where the Swedes went chasing after a broken unit. The Danes rolled terribly for those two. They didn't roll too badly here, I think a 5 or something, and drove away the infantry. not well enough that they could advance. We still got a hedgehog in front of them for what that's worth. The Swedes are not going to attack. They're not forced to in any sense. All they got is this unit and rally. So I'm going to say it's time to count up the points. I don't see a reason to move some extra pieces around. This is pretty much what we have for the battlefield. The Danes trying to disengage, but not quite succeeding. Just to let the chaos that's down here see if it can present something of value. This side might be formed up, etc., able to threaten the Swedish center. See what the points are? I think it's, I don't know, Jesus. There's a lot of Danish points in there, but the Swedes need a big amount. I'll count them up and see. So I calculated it out, and it was an 84-point swing with the Swedes in the lead. That's what we got for dead units. There were a few casualties. I think 11 points of casualties for the Danes and 7 for the Swedes or something like that. Not a big factor, the ones that are on the board. 84 gives it a marginal Danish victory, just barely too. It was definitely a close one for the victory point situation. In terms of, who did better, obviously, the Swedes still... Hold on. That's 10 more points. I didn't see that one. So it was a 94-point swing, which puts it into the draw. Unless that was somehow bumped out of the proceed box. But I think it was a real casualty that I just missed. Okay. So anyway, very, very close game in terms of the game itself. Obviously, I played it a little differently than historically. Swinging back with the Danes, how good an idea is that? Historically, this is where they did well, is on this attack. But very clearly, as was pointed out, if, with this kind of terrain, I need to be in open order. I thought open order was pointless because I thought I got it confused with column. And in column, when you try to form up lines, you end up in formation broken with your infantry, and that's just too much of a pain. Well, open order is just like being formation shaken, except you don't get worse, which is actually really cool, and I wish I hadn't forgotten that. I knew it in the prior game with God and Victorious Arms. I don't know if I've remembered it once in this, and it's much more important to have open order in this this series. So, take each of my playings with something of a grain of salt, because I always miss some rolls. This one probably influenced the play on the scenarios a lot more than most. I remember in Malmo I'm playing, got Swedes trying to reform from open order because they wanted to move along the wall and going through like 3 turns of reforming. I've got the Danes never leaving open order because it's too expensive. So, well. But, I'm having fun playing. I'm just... don't expect that I got the rolls right ever in anything I'm doing. Okay.